I've come to be referred to by what some say is an internet guru. Some refer to my status as guru. Look, I'm a humble dude. I say this all the time. I mean, just listen to my voice. I'm Once Grove. Guru is a rapper who I grew up listening to, and I had and still have the utmost respect for the late R.I.P. rapper Guru and his affiliation with the organization known as Gangstar, including but not limited to DJ Premier. Beyond that, the word guru, look, it's not, there are other words, and I know there are hecklers out there. They're like, dude, you're a fucking asshole. You're so full of yourself. I'm really not, man. I never have been. I'm actually one of the most humble persons you've ever known, if you are a true fan of this show. By the way, like I said, I am Once Grove. This is C4CW, casting 495 celebrities worldwide. I just want to repeat that, and of course emphasize, that I do this because it funds counterterrorism. I mean, to be honest, full disclosure. Because I started a private military entity based here in New York. And in order to finance it, I had to, that is aerospace, CT, counterterrorism. It's two-pronged, if you will, in that. And in order to do that, I needed to make money in the sphere of social media, online, advertising, marketing, and so on and so forth, etc. So that's why I took to podcasting, because I could and do reach a global audience. But I'm actually I used to be very extroverted. I was, the quintessential, outgoing person. And, always like that, party animal dude, life of the party, yeah, let's get wild and party. But, after so many eons, man, in higher education and, age, man, I'm not that dude anymore. I'm actually relatively introverted. I'm not a big, club goer, I'm not in my 20s anymore doing keg stands, totally tubular, dude, tubular to the max. I mean, I still have the lingo down, pat, and I'm still, a West Coast native originally at heart, but I'm an East Coaster now, man. I'm like those cats that are dignified, that are debonair, that are considered quite suave. And I say this again humbly, I'm kind of like those old timers, man. I'm like an old soul. I really am. I'm just a really fucking chill, laid back cat, man. And like I said, I mean, some people call me an internet advertising, marketing guru. I mean, I'm cool with wizard, but guru? Nah, man, that just ain't my style of words. But, so marketing and advertising, yeah, it took off for me. It really did. It took a long time, but I'm one of those persons who was persistent. I stuck to it every day. I start my day by advertising and marketing. Not everyone does that. People say they want to make money on the internet. How passionate about it are you? Now, I'm at 4 minutes and 39 seconds. Notice I haven't asked anyone to like, subscribe, or to smash any fucking bell. No, I never will. Because I have said that I never will, and I never will. Because I don't want to, and it doesn't feel right asking people to smash a bell or to like or subscribe. Fuck it, You either like the show or you don't, man. You either like 495L4 style or you don't. I'm a rap artist. And when I was a kid, man, I had a bit of an attitude. Kind of like niggas with an attitude, NWA. And it just so happens I listen to NWA. You know, coming from the West Coast, man, kind of got to be a little edgy. Kind of got to have a little bit of an attitude, man, if you want to make it in the rap game. Because not too many people, man, from the Puget Sound have ever been world global famous. I mean, you know, there's cats on the internet with, like, plays and likes and people saying, yeah, you guys are one of the greatest. But in terms of, like, financial success and in terms of, like, worldwide global recognition, I mean, 495L4 is one of a handful. I mean, I'm just saying, there are a lot of kids on the internet with Instagram and Twitter, and they have videos with likes and thumbs up, but that doesn't translate always over to dollars. You got to know how to strategically market and position yourself, and you have to be registered with the different performing rights organizations. I'm not giving any kind of legal or business financial advice. I'm just simply saying that there's a pathway, and if you don't do it the way that I describe, chances ordinarily are quite nil, because you have to track royalties, man, and you need other people involved. And if you're not paying your dues and if you're not working with organizations that got your back, I mean, the statistical probabilistic likelihood of you making money in this rap game, I mean, the game is already a dirty game, you know? So to make money, you got to fucking know what you're doing, man. And there are a lot of pretenders, a lot of kids on the internet. You know, they've got likes and thumbs up, and people see their videos that have like hundreds of thousands of views, over 1 million views, and people think that person's making money. That person ain't making any fucking money, man. Never has, and there's a good chance that person never will. Because if you're not registered, man, to get paid, if you're not registered to collect dough, it doesn't really fucking matter if you have over 1 million fucking plays. Doesn't mean that YouTube is sending you a check, man. You got to know how to get that bag, you know? You got to know how to get that check. You got to get signed up, man. And a lot of, you know, what I've told people before, a lot of young dudes under me coming up in the fucking rap game, what I've told a lot of kids, man, and when I say kids, I always mean adults, man, people over the age of 18, so don't get shit twisted. We say kid, you know, because it's an old school East Coast term. And though I'm out here on the East Coast now, man, growing up, when I was a kid, on the West Coast, we listened to, is what I meant to say. I'm multitasking here, driving, you know, dipping, floating, flying, navigating, you know, flight navigator type shit. But when I was a kid, man, on the West Coast, we used to listen to East Coast hip hop. So the expression son, kid, you know, that's from the hip hop lingua franca. Back to what I was saying, man. Some of these fucking kids, man, coming up under me, they used to ask me, and to this day still do, yo, Grove, man, what's the real secret, man, to be successful, man? Because, you know, you're successful, man, and share some wisdom. And I'm like, all right, man, a lot of people don't want to hear this, man. One of the reasons that Seattle got the game fucked up is that you got to understand something. I'm not from fucking Seattle, man. I'm not from Seattle. Now, when I was a kid, man, we had regional rivalries. I'm from the EVT, that's Everett, north of Seattle. That's where I'm from, man. I'm from the Riverside neighborhood. And I grew up on both the Riverside and the Bayside. But, you know, Riverside neighborhood is where a lot of 495 L4 members hail from. So it's kind of sort of like our version of Compton, California. I'm just saying, man, it's a little gritty, to say the least. And if you don't think so, because you live there right now, well, you're living in a different time frame. You ain't living in the 1980s, 1990s. You ain't living in 1994 when circa therein, when Bone Thugs and Harmony released Creeping on a Come Up. 1994 was a dark period for the West Coast. A lot of trap spots, a lot of trap houses, a lot of drugs, a lot of guns, a lot of racketeering, a lot of crime, a lot of corruption. So, and I'm talking about police, drug, crack wars, police, gangs, drugs, crack wars. Now, I've talked about this extensively. I'm at 10 minutes. I haven't asked anyone to like or subscribe to anything, and I never fucking will. You listen to some internet, air quotes, gurus, and they go on, man, forever, and they never fucking get to the point. Well, I've already made my point. I've been very clear about the back story of how I became exceedingly wealthy and successful. Man, I always kept it real in the streets, man. I always had my homies' backs. And I always played my position the way I was supposed to. And I always looked out for my homies, man, and I always had their sixes. So when you get to talking about Seattle, man, back in the day where I'm from, Everett, we weren't repping Seattle, man. We just were not repping Seattle because we're not from Seattle. You know, let's say you're from Arizona. Are you going to rep Seattle? No, you're going to rep Arizona. Let's say you're from Utah. Are you going to rep fucking Seattle? No, you're going to rep Arizona, or Utah. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, man, some Seattleites, man, have adopted this mentality that if you don't root for them, they're like, fuck you. Like outsiders, like insiders. They have this like insular mentality, man. And it's really kind of dangerous for Seattle, man. Especially if you see that documentary called Seattle is Dying. The mentality of some people in Seattle is pretty fucking sick, man. It really is. A lot of Seattleites, man, that I'm talking about, not all of them, but the ones I'm referring to, they live in denial of reality, man. They really do. And I can have this conversation with young cats coming up under me. Some of them will listen and say, Grove, I totally understand, man. I'm not from Seattle either. And they'll tell me that they live in Washington State, and they understand that Seattle's fucked up. Now, if you get to talking to some people from Seattle about how Seattle's fucked up, man, they immediately think you're a fucking asshole. They're like, oh, you're a fucking hater, man. Why you talking down on the town, man? Why you talking down? And it's like, we're not talking down on Seattle, dude. Why don't you fucking grow up, motherfucker? And why don't you have a normal conversation, man, about reality? You know, your town is fucked up. We're pointing out reality. We're addressing the situation. If you don't want to talk about it, then you ain't in my camp. And that's the thing, man. I can't roll with people, man, who don't want to have a fucking discussion. You know, people who want to be one-sided or lopsided or, you know, they can't admit, man, that their shit is fucked up and that they got to get it together. Man, that whole mentality of those Seattleites I'm referring to, where they're abrasive, man, and they're incendiary, and they're inflammatory, and it's fuck you if you're talking about their city. You're like, yo, man, I'm just addressing reality, dude. You see, you can talk to people from LA, and LA will admit that it has some fucked up shit. You can talk to people from New York, and they'll tell you, man, New York has some fucked up shit. You can talk to some people, man, about New Jersey, and they'll tell you New Jersey, man, they will tell you in their words that it is their opinion that New Jersey, though they've lived there their entire lives, and they consider themselves New Jerseyans, that New Jersey is a shithole in their words. But, man, God forbid, man, you start talking to some Seattleites, man, the ones I'm referring to. I'm not talking about everyone in Seattle, but the ones I'm referring to, and all of a sudden they're defensive and, you know, man, you're a fucking hater, man. You're fucking, man, you're a big, man, something must have happened to you when you were here. Yeah, I became successful. That's what happened to me when I was there. Yeah, that's what happened to me when I was there, dude. I became exceedingly fucking successful and rich beyond your imagination, dude. Yeah. They want to say something happened to you when you were in their town, and that's why you're talking shit about Seattle. That's the only type of rationale they have when you address the reality of their fucked up environment, man. Something must have happened to you when you were in Seattle. Something must have happened to you. Yeah, I went to college north of Seattle, and then I fucking started a business, and I became rich and fucking famous, dude. That's what happened to me when I was in Seattle, motherfucker. But you see, man, they don't want to address reality. It's got to be some story that they concoct, some narrative.